Bombshell news is JD's lawyers are suing Warner Brothers. That's right. And what's beautiful about this litigation is it takes Warner Brothers to task for everything they claimed with AH. You know, all of those buzzwords, all of the believe and more. Yeah, they got a problem. They got a big problem at this. Oh, fun times, huh? Fun times indeed. All right, so hey there to all you fine folks on this fine day, by the way. I hope you are doing excellently. This is huge news here. Why? Because the lawyers that represented JD in Virginia are now suing Warner Brothers. That's right. And the claims that are being made in this litigation, well, let's just say there's one word for that, and that word is, wait, what do you mean I can't say that word here anymore? Then how about we go with spicy? Yeah, spicy. Now, what's beautiful about this lawsuit is that this holds Warner Brothers accountable for certain things that they said while they were trying to defend their actions while dealing with people like AH. Remember, publicly, they were talking about listening. They were talking about believing. And also, they were talking about being proactive. Again, this is coming from the team that represented JD in Virginia. So they know this company. They know them extremely well. And talk about a PR nightmare for Warner Brothers. They're not just dealing with JD's team for Virginia. Oh no, they're dealing with another team as well. As two people, they file against Warner Brothers for this specific issue. And guess what? There are other lawsuits just like this one that are being filed. I mean, Warner, they have a problem, and a big problem. And what's amazing is their own words. They can be used against them from what they had to say before Virginia, during, and after. Now, Warner, they're going to have some problems with these claims too. Why? Because these claims, they not only allege that horrific things that were happening behind the scenes, but that executives now tied to Warner Brothers, they laughed when somebody asked for help. And on top of that, you even had an executive break this person's arm. That's right. They say that someone broke their arm. And when they talked about all of this stuff, they were fired for disclosure. Now, as far as the firing is concerned, I mean, the allegations here, they are a mess. And remember, Warner Brothers, they backed allegations alone. So that's all it takes. And when you see the dates on this, like September 1990, remember, new laws on the book allow claims that look back. This was filed in New York. But yes, listen to this here. So C says that she was fired from Atlantic in September 1990, the day. So this is the day that she first reports in writing her claims, what she had faced at Atlantic to Morris. So the very first day that she commits this stuff to writing, she says they decided, yeah, we're not going to put up with this. We're going to let you go. They don't side with her. They side with the power. The complaint was prompted by an incident in which she was supposedly told, quote, honey, come sit on my lap during a meeting that one of her bosses had called. In her memo to Morris, she says that she's tired of all this juvenile behavior by all the men in Atlantic Records. Well, the very next day, the person that had been responsible for a lot of this stuff, they supposedly call her into their office. They say that she had, quote unquote, questioned their authority, questioned the company authority, again, that would be Warner Brothers authority, and terminated her employment. After her termination with Atlantic, she started working at Giant Records, another Warner Music subsidiary. So she went to another place with Warner after she was terminated, but her employment was terminated shortly after. She says in the claim, quote, on information and belief that the person that had terminated her that had targeted her had used his influence to have her fired and blacklisted from the industry entirely. So they went around to different places. They made sure that nobody would pick them up at all. And she says in the lawsuit that if it were not for his vengeful and retaliatory actions, she would still be in the music industry to this day. Now, what's crazy about litigation like this is it seems to be more and more commonplace, not just in the industry as a whole, but Warner Brothers. They seem to be involved in a lot of it. In fact, last year, I talked about a complaint that was eerily similar to this. You had somebody that started out as a secretary. They worked their way up to an executive position. Then they alleged that something happened behind the scenes. They reported what happened. What did they do? They fired them for reporting said events. So here's what Brown Rudnick, they have to say about the lawsuit. Quote, Brown Rudnick is representing a music industry veteran in a lawsuit accusing former executives of Atlantic Record Group of repeated, let's just say, misconduct and firing her for reporting such behavior. The firm filed the complaint on behalf of Dorothy C. against Atlantic Records, the parent company, Warner Music Group, and former executives on December 4th, 2022 in the New York State Supreme Court. Now, this includes a 31-page complaint, and it sets forth specific details, and they are very specific details that she says that she suffered during her employment at Atlantic Records. She wants a jury trial and an undetermined amount of monetary damages. Now, what's hilarious is she's not only suing Warner Brothers, she's been calling out their hypocrisy and at their shareholder meetings, so she's putting them on blast in front of their shareholders. In fact, she nominated herself to the board of Warner Music Group, so she nominates herself as a minority investor, and when his discussion comes up about her, she says, well, you know what? I'm a trailblazer here. I was the first female A&R executive at Atlantic Record. I signed some huge names. That includes places like Skid Row. We brought them on, brought other acts on as well. And what's hilarious is that Warner Brothers, I'm sure, wants to shut this down. I mean, yeah, they've paid lip service to ideas like this in the past, but they're forced to play by these rules now, so they can't shut this down. Why? Well, the Securities and Exchange Commission, they put in a new rule. This happened in September. They talk about universal proxy cards being utilized in contested board elections. What this says, essentially, is that shareholders, they can nominate themselves as directors for election on public board members on the same slate as incumbent directors rather than on separate board slates required previously. So you have to pay attention. You have to list them in these elections. Warner Brothers, they can't shut down the noise. And it's beautiful because they paid lip service to the ideas. They said, yeah, we listen. Yeah, we believe. They backed this idea one time. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see them taken to task. And again, by JD's lawyers from Virginia.